Good morning, friends. This is Dennis Miracle. Today I'm going to be making what I am calling the Vase purse or vase, depending on what part of the world you're from. And this is it that you see on the machine. Unfortunately, it's turned sideways, but that is what I'm calling it. And so let's go over here to the table and I'll show you what pieces you need to make this purse. Okay, the pieces you need to make generically, in 99% of the cases, any of my purses are you need, since all I do is at this point is 6 by 10 purses, you need a zipper that's obviously longer than the 10 inches. Since the purse is 10 inches wide, you need something probably 12 or 14 inches, and I think this is a 14-inch white zipper. You need, well, I don't have it here. I forgot to cut it. You need, and I cut all of my pieces of fabric and batting 7 by 11, except for one of the two pieces of batting can be a bit in this direction can be, instead of 7 by 11, this one is cut to about 6 by 11 because it goes under the zipper, which takes up an inch, so it can be a bit smaller. But starting with going back though, you need two pieces of lining fabric, which is not shown here because I forgot to cut them. You need two pieces of batting, as I said, one 6 by 11, one 7 by 11. Now, my second piece of, I had decided in this case of this purse that I'm currently making, the Vase purse, to do the beautiful back panel, which I had digitized, and this is the back panel here. And so you have one piece of exterior fabric, and then you have your other piece of batting here on the back. So the two pieces of batting, and what then for the front is you need a piece of main fabric and a piece of applique fabric. This pretty floral gray, silver, white, black floral is going to be my main fabric, and this piece of black will be the applique fabric, which will have this beautiful stitching on it. So so you would need these three pieces for the exterior. This one that I've already used, already prepared, and these two, making a total of three for front and back. So that is how that works. I think I've got that. And I've got my 6 by 10 baby lock hoop, and it is, I have now loaded it up, and loaded, by loaded I mean I've put the stabilizer in, and I've forgotten to put my little marks. I'm trying to put little marks right along each of these, right against the frame, in case the project were to fall out of the hoop unexpectedly. Then with those marks, you could use them to put it back in the hoop. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add those marks when I turn the phone off. So that's basically what you need for any of the purses I make. And so let's go to the next step. I'm going to go and run the outline of the bag, and the step one will do the outline and show where the zipper placement is. So let me go ahead, and that's what I'll do next. All right, you can see that I did run step one, and you can see that it does the general outline of the bag and the area at the top for the placement of the zipper. And you can see I put my little marks. I use a magic marker in all four of these areas to help me place the project back in the hoop should there be some issue with it coming dislodged. So, and also you might notice I trim all of this. I see everybody, doing embroidery, and they've got all this hanging everywhere, this excess, and I think that's one more thing to have to uh, deal with, and that might get caught in something. I know as this goes in the machine, I can't tell you how many times I have had extra. Before I started cutting, I'd have it get caught, but here in the baby locker brother machine, between the needle and the foot itself. So it would be caught right here, and then between this and the needle, and just caused extra troubles. So that's why I've started cutting all this extra off. But anyhow, it's just my little thing. You may not agree with me, and that's totally fine. We all have different perspectives. Okay, the next thing that will be done is to place the number 3 nylon zipper here, with the head of the zipper opening, with the opening pull on this side, on the left side. And I'm going to insert several pre-recorded parts of the video in, I think at this point, showing that and showing the attachment of the back or of the lining piece and of the front piece, and so I don't have to keep recording this over and over again. Anyhow, I'm going to insert those pieces, and they'll be with different fabric than what I'll be using, because they're going to be from some other project, but you'll still follow those. It'll still be the same procedure. So I'll be back in a moment. All right, I have taken the hoop and placed my 14-inch zipper as I said I would, and I decided not to put something that was pre-recorded. I'm gonna just make these as I've always made them, recording each one separately. I just think it looks nicer, so I changed my mind in 2 minutes. Anyhow, I've placed my zipper, and it's taped here on the left side, tape here, tape right up here, and then taped over here. And so I'm going to stick that in the machine, and I just use that orange thread just to show the outline, but I'm going to put in white, which is what I'm going to be using, I believe, as my main thread, or only thread possibly. So let me do that. I will change thread colors, and I will run step 2, which will sew down this zipper. So I'll be right back. Okay, you might be able to see the stitching here, and I have several templates I use to make these purses, and this particular template starts over here, sews over across here, and then it stops and cuts the thread, then jumps over, and then starts here and comes back up to this point. Whereas that other template I use, just sews across this. I don't know which is preferable. This causes it to cut the thread an extra time, thereby using your machine more. But anyhow, this one is how it is, and either way is fine to me. I mean, I don't know, when I'm doing one of these bags, it doesn't matter to me which way it does it, but I hope that's not a problem for anybody. Anyhow, our next step will be to turn our hoop over, and I have cut 2 pieces of this pretty sheet that I got tired of. Unfortunately, I kind of cut them the wrong way, didn't I? Oh well. Anyhow, take whatever you're using as your lining fabric. This was cut 7 by 11, and make sure that you're at an equal over here, equal size over here and over on this side, and take and place the edge of whatever fabric you're using right along this 4th line down, and tape it on the right, the left, and the center. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. All right, I have taped this down, as I said, in all 3 places, and I'm going to let it just fall over to the front and turn the hoop over, and I'm going to take it, this piece of fabric, and just fold it over, and well, let me get a piece of tape. Can I do that with one hand? That's questionable. No, I did. Okay, I'm going to tape this down here on the frame, because that needs to be out of the way for quite a number of steps. So there it is. It's out of the way. So let me grab what will be my main fabric, which will be this beautiful floral I got from my friend Margot. And I don't know, never seen it before, and I don't know who the manufacturer is, but I think it's really pretty. I've used it on another of the bags. I'm going to take it and put it face down, and by the way, the other piece, if I didn't tell you, it should have been face down also. So let me, looks like I've got it, and I'm putting the edge to edge with the zipper, the zipper itself, the bottom of the zipper. And it looks good over here, it looks good over here, so let me tape that down and I'll be right back. Okay, I have taped it down here, here, and here. Now I'm going to stick this in the embroidery machine, and it is going to sew a line of stitches right here on this 3rd line down. Actually, when you sew the 4 lines, it's going to put a line of stitches on that 3rd line right over them, and it will be sewing this front piece down and then sewing the lining fabric on the back side. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see that it has sewn the line of stitches through here, holding that down, and always turn it over and check your back side. Yes, it did sew that down also. So looks good. All right, so we're going to take our shorter, I told you about the 2 different pieces of lining fabric, one 6 by 11 and one 7 by 11. So I'm going to take the shorter one and place it right below the stitches here, 1/8 of an inch, and it doesn't matter if you cut them 7 by 11. You're just going to have another inch hanging over into this joining area, and I don't like that for this. I don't want to get anywhere near having a problem with this join area, and of course it depends on what kind of machine you have, where your joining area is, so this may not be a problem for some people. But anyhow, I'm going to take and I'm going to fold the fabric down, and I'm going to actually not be lazy and go over to the next room where the iron is, and I'm going to iron this down because I like a nice crease along this edge right here. So let me go iron and I'll be right back. Okay, I have just been to the iron and ironed this piece down. Has that nice crease along the zipper there. So let me stick it in the machine and run step 4. Step 4 will do a line of stitching all the way around this area to hold everything in place. So let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, I think you can see the stitching that has been done. And the next thing, step number 5, will be the placement stitch for the applique for the vase. So let me run that and I'll be right back. Okay, as you may be able to see, here's the stitching for the placement of the vase. So let me place the applique fabric, which is this black piece of fabric, cut 7 by 11, even though that's really too big, but it is what it is. So I'm going to run step 6, which will sew it down. So I'll be right back. Okay, you can see now, obviously, that this piece of black fabric has been sewn down, and so you need to take your scissors, your applique scissors, and trim all around the design. So I'm going to start cutting over here off the side and cut right in and right at as close as I can get without cutting these stitches, and down, around, and that will remove the rest of the black fabric will be removed. And I'm not very good at cutting these trimming, it seems, but cut as close as you can, because the next step will be putting the beautiful floral stitching, but the step after that will be putting the satin stitch, and so it needs to cover all those frayed edges, but you need to make it very close to the stitch line, so we'll make sure to cover those ugly raw fabric. So anyhow, let me do the trimming and I'll be right back. All right, you can see I have trimmed this, and I did a pretty good job. I think I did a good enough job where it won't show through. And next I'm going to put this in the machine and run step 7, which is the beautiful quilting. So let me do that. Okay, you can see that the stitching has been done, the pretty floral stitching in the center on top of the black piece of fabric. And now the next step, step 8, is the actual satin stitching along the design in the center, the vase design, to cover up the raw edges. So let me go ahead and run that and be back in a moment. Well, I'm not super thrilled with the job my machine did. It's not that great for whatever reason doing satin stitch, so I'm going to run I'm going to repeat that same number 9 step in hopes that it will cover and make it look better. It's just odd. Sometimes this machine does good and other times it doesn't. So I'm going to run step 9 again, which you might want to do if you're having issues also, or maybe the first time it'll come out beautiful. I had changed the thread from white to a silver also. So let me run the step again and I'll be right back. All right, I ran this a second time and I'm more pleased with this. I think it looks better. Not perfect, but better, so I'm okay with that. So the next thing we do is finally release this piece of fabric here that's been held at the top. Remove the tape. Okay, let the piece of fabric roll back to the back where it belongs. Okay, and actually these pieces of tape can be removed right here. If you can do that without tearing. Okay, and let me get this one over here. Okay, all right, that looks good. Okay, so pull your fabric down and just pat it down and take and tape it, piece of tape across here and a piece of tape across here. And the other thing you need to do is you need to right in this area here, which is behind the zipper coils, you need to remove that. It'll make it a lot easier if you do that. Now, let me see where they're at. They're right. Should be right here. And I used to be able to do this so easily, and I've lost my touch with, since I haven't done this in months. Let's see if, no, I'm not going to be able to do it, but anyhow, use whatever method. You can use a seam ripper, you can use scissors, but cut this piece all the way along here. Cut this, don't cut the fabric, but try to get rid of this area behind the zipper. And so I'm going to do the taping and remove that, and I'll be right back. All right, I have taped here, and I used my seam ripper to get it started right here, and then I just used my fingernail to basically go right down like that. And you all know this is paper towels that I use as, I call it the original tearaway stabilizer. And so you can see the back of the zipper here where the coil is, which is what you want to see. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to put it back in the machine and run step 9. All right, you can see that the piece of lining has been sewn down, and you can see the zipper up here, so everything's good. Now, well, let me stop here. I have to grab something. I'll be right back. Okay, we're ready to put on the front here, what will be the back piece. And so the first thing you need to do is you need to remove the piece of tape that was in front of the zipper. You need to open the zipper about 3/4 of the way. Okay. That looks good. Okay, and then you need to take, if you're not doing the back panel that I have digitized, just take whatever fabric you're using and place it face down, making sure that you cover the zipper itself by about 1/4 of an inch above the zipper, and then place your piece of batting directly over that piece of fabric, making sure you're okay on each side, that you're going to cover each side. But I have made this beautiful backing, and so let me show how that's done. Okay, you obviously, the batting was already part of it. Here's the batting itself. You want to take this piece and try to line up as best you can where the pieces come together. So it takes a little bit of doing. I can see, okay, I can see where that's at. Let me see if I can, or if I can get it like it should be. I think it's okay. I'm going to take my chances and put it in the machine and run step 10, and we'll see if it's okay. Hopefully it is. And by the way, this would be the stage before you run this 10, step 10, where you would have put any kind of joining pieces. If you wanted to put something maybe for a purse, a crossbody purse, I would have put an inch from each side, an inch in on each side, and that's what I would have done. Or you could have put one actually over here, just one long piece to carry as a straplet. But anyhow, that's I'm not doing that today. So let me sew this down and see what happens. All right, I ran the step number 10, and it has attached this back piece. I can only assume hopefully it's on there in a good way. So the last step, step 11, is we take this hoop out of the machine, turn the hoop over, and we put the last piece of lining on and put it face down and just kind of make it cover side to side. So that's fine. And then pull the top of it up where it is about a 1/4 inch above this top line. So let me do that, because we want to make sure it gets caught in the last round of stitching and not come loose at the zipper. Okay, I think that'll do. And then take and tape it down at all 4 corners and run step 11. So I'll do that and be right back. All right, I ran the last number 11, the last step, and it did what it should have done. It left a nice turning area through here, and it sewed it right here where my finger is. This was a sheet. I think this was part of a sheet, and it had this little piece here. That was what was on the sheet itself. So anyhow, but that's fine. I'm gonna now take it out of the hoop. Oh, I do hope they match up well, the front and the back. Okay. All right, let's see. I've got some tape attached to the hoop. Wow. All right. And over here too. Gracious. All right. Okay. Well. All right. So we're done with the embroidery machine part, and I'm going to take now and just simply remove this my stabilizer, which is this paper towel. So let me and it'll come right off. It'll tear right off right around the seam of the bag, because there's so many penetrations of needle in it. It's perforated. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, as I told you it would, the paper towel had so many perforations that it just tore right off perfectly. And now I'm going to take my good scissors, regular scissors, and I'm going to start right here on this side and cut up here to about a 1/4 inch before where the seam starts, and I'm going to follow it all the way around, keeping myself at least a 1/4 inch away from the seam and ending up here. So, and cutting in like this. All right, so do that and come back to me in a moment. Okay, this is what you have when you trimmed it, and now you need to take and pull back the 2 pieces of lining, as I'm doing. You might want to even take that to the iron and iron them back where they'll stay out of the way, but if not, finger press them and they'll probably be fine. You want to take and with your scissors trim as close to here where my finger's going without cutting the fabric here and get rid of this, extra. Here we have the, what's the word I'm looking for? The batting, then you have fabric, etc. You want to cut this right along here and just cut it off and throw it in the trash can because it's done. Its purpose is finished. So let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, you can see I've done that. You can see it from this side. Well, I'm going to cut that a little more. I see that's sticking up, but it's cut straight across here. And so next thing after I remove this little chunk here is turn it through this opening, and I'll be right back. Okay, after you've turned it out through the area here, this is what you should be looking at. Your lining fabric should be on both sides. Now what you want to do is take this shorter, will be a shorter and longer piece. Take this shorter piece, fold it in right to the very edge of the bag, and maybe iron it down where it stays, and then take this longer piece and do the same, fold it in where it'll stay down. And I'm going to do that, and when I'm finished with getting these two pieces placed inside, I'm going to sew from right here, right on the very edge, all the way over to here. So let's do that, and I'll be back. Right, so you can see I've got this sewn shut here, and I need to get rid of all these little pieces of thread. Well, I'm doing it through the camera, and you can't really do it through the camera. It looks different. So I'm going to try and do a little trimming around here, and then when I'm done trimming, I'm going to do the grand reveal and see how it came out. I'm going to turn it through through the zipper opening. So let me do that, and I'll be right back and show you what I have. I think it came out very nicely. One thing I always do is I take my iron. Oh, it's still on. Okay, good. And I do this to these bags. I push the lining away from the zipper, like you see I'm doing, so it won't get caught in the zipper. So there, let me close this up. Well, let's turn it over and see how I always press it. Okay, so it looks beautiful on the back. Everything was caught. It's stitched along here. Everything was caught in the zipper. Sometimes you get them and if you don't put them there that 1/4 inch or so above the zipper, it won't get caught, and then it'll be pretty ruined, basically. You can anyhow. So I'm going to give this a press, and I think it looks just perfect. So I appreciate all of you watching with me, and I appreciate the words of encouragement, and thank you for purchasing my designs. And this is the Vase or Vase purse, and it's $3 for the basic pattern. If you want the pretty add-on back, it's $2 more, so a total of $5. So anyhow, let me contact me at the dennismaracdesigns@gmail.com, which will be when I'll be posting this in the next day or two, so you'll see the email address, and I'll post this video. So anyhow, once again, thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate you watching, and have a good weekend wherever you're at. Bye-bye.